Now that you know what camera and lenses to buy, it's time to look at flashes and accessories. Let's start with flashes. We see so many people call themselves natural light photographers. Having been in the industry for a few years, we know that really means I don't know how to use a flash. It can be pretty intimidating, right? But it doesn't have to be. Let's break it down really simple. Flashes are just there to add light when there isn't enough already. Boom, you understand the basics of flash. Typically, you're gonna wanna shoot as much natural light as humanly possible on a wedding day. Natural light almost always looks better and is a lot easier to work with for most photographers. However, most wedding receptions take place indoors and they're not lit well. This is where using a flash comes in. After looking through hundreds of weddings of other photographers, we can verify this is where most photographers' work just falls apart. It's sad because there's some really special moments that happen in a reception that people would love to have. Being a professional wedding photographer means having quality photos all day long. Not just most of the day, all day. Learning the basics of flash is an absolute must. How to use it. You're probably thinking, okay, great, I'll buy a flash, but how do I use it? Or which one should I buy? Here's our advice. Keep it simple. If you can afford multiple flashes, that's great. However, you don't need that. The point of using a flash is to add light to the room because there's currently not enough light. Do not try to make the room as bright as possible. That screams amateur and completely gets rid of the mood of the room. When a couple looks back at their photos in their wedding album, they won't have an accurate picture of what their wedding reception actually looked like. Not to mention, if you have a super big, powerful flash going off, it can be really distracting to the guests attending the wedding. All you need is one flash point at the ceiling that'll bounce a super soft light around the room and illuminate the couple or the person giving this speech. To answer the question of which flash you should buy, you've got options. We're gonna show you two brands, Godox and Canon. Yes, Canon flashes are probably going to be a bit more reliable and maybe even have a bit better light quality. However, Godox has come out of the gate swinging, making phenomenal flashes at even better prices. I know I've said it before and we're gonna say it again. The point of our recommendations is to show you what you absolutely need to start a wedding photography business. We own both Canon and Godox and either one of them will work wonders for you on a wedding day. Here's what we recommend. The Godox 350C at $143. Godox has made some really great flashes lately, and this is a great flash that will not break the bank. It has a lithium battery, so it's gonna last you a while, and the recycle time in between flashes is super quick. This way you don't miss any of those special moments throughout a wedding reception. The Godox V1 at $259. I own this one and it's one of my favorites. It's practically a ripoff of the Profoto A1 but at a fraction of the cost. It has a lot of power and the recycle time between each flash is also super quick. It even has a modeling light built in, so if it's too dark you can pop that on and turn on a small constant light. The reason it's a bit more expensive is that it's a bit more power and the color consistency is a little bit better. But either of these two Godox flashes will work perfect for whatever you need on a wedding day. Godox X Pro C TTL wireless flash trigger at $69. We know we said you only need one flash, but if you want to use off-camera flash or even use extra flashes, you're going to need something to tell one or all of the flashes that they need to fire. This is where this comes in. It's super cheap at only $69, and a huge advantage of Godox is you only need the transceiver. All Godox have a built-in receiver. This means that you're saving tons of money and space in your camera bag. Now for Canon. The Canon Speedlight 430 EX3 RT at $299. This flash, as Canon likes to call them, speedlights, are very comparable to the Godox 350 that we just talked about. It may be built a bit better than Godox, but marginally. The main difference is the battery type. While Godox takes a lithium battery, Canon takes 4 AA batteries. The price is also a lot higher than the Godox, so there's that. The Canon Speedlight 600 EX2 RT at $499. This is by far the best flash in the selection that we're recommending. It's more powerful and the colors are super consistent, which makes editing a breeze. The downside are the size and the weight. It's bigger and heavier than the rest of the flashes, and the biggest difference between all of this is the fact that it's $500. The Canon ST-E3 RT Speedlight transmitter at $259. This is essentially the same thing as the Godox X Pro transmitter, just a lot more money. As you can tell, Godox is insanely affordable and we most definitely recommend. Any of the flashes that we mentioned above are going to be just what you need for weddings. If you can only afford one flash, then you should buy the Godox 350C. It's super affordable and it's going to get the job done. If you're using one of the cameras that we recommended earlier, it's gonna have great ISO performance so that you can crank that ISO. If you buy the Sigma 50 lens, you can shoot at a super low aperture like f1.8, so you don't even need to have that much power coming out of the flash. If you have the money and wanna pay the Canon tax, then go ahead. Buy the 600 EX2 RT. You're gonna love it, but it's gonna cost you a whole lot more. Just remember not to spend all of your money on gear. We still have a lot to cover in the other sections that you're going to need to spend money on. There's always going to be a few things you're going to want to keep on you at any given shoot, but especially on a wedding day. These are things you may not think about, but they're definitely going to be so clutch when you need them. I wish somebody told me how important this was going to be when I was starting out. This is one thing you never want to happen to you, is when you arrive at the brides in the morning and you pull out your camera and turning it on just to realize the battery is dead from last night's engagement session. Now you have to pull out your charger and wait for it to charge. This is wildly embarrassing. You're missing moments and you just look silly. It happened to me once and it never happened to me again. Learn from my mistakes. Bring plenty of batteries. Pro tip, don't buy aftermarket batteries. That's the one thing not to get off-brand. Canon makes great batteries that last. A huge bonus of any of the cameras that we've mentioned, they all have the exact same battery. This means even if you upgrade cameras, you get to keep the same batteries, which is pretty awesome. If you're using flashes that require AA batteries, we recommend using Enelope rechargeable batteries. They're a bit more expensive, but they last forever. We highly recommend using those. Lens hoods are great for keeping flare out of the lens, but more importantly, they're great at protecting your lens from the elements. I've seen cameras dropped and lens hoods get shattered, but the lens is fine. Think of it like an airbag for your lens. It's much better to ruin the lens hood than the lens. Another great reason to have the lens hood is to protect you from accidentally touching the lens and getting it all messed up. Trust us, it happens all the time. Imagine if you're on a wedding day and you accidentally touch the lens, then it's got fingerprints all over it and you can't clean it. Then your lens gets all smudged up during the portrait session of a wedding. That's a big mess you do not want to deal with. Save yourself a ton of time, hassle, and future embarrassment. Buy yourself a couple of lens cloths. Keep them with you in your bag. You'll thank yourself later. There you have it. There's everything you need to know about flashes and a few key accessories that you've got to have on you when you photograph a wedding day. Just remember, using a flash does not have to be scary. There's tons of tutorials out there that will show you the basics. Don't let the fear of not knowing how to use it stop you from starting. We'll see you in the next video.